very good morning to you. This is Dwight Davis. Welcome to our Bird Notes. Many years ago, several of us were out looking at birds, and one of the group, upon seeing a flock of Glossy Ibis, said, "They look positively primitive, don't they?" Well, the ibis is a primitive bird, to be sure. As best we can tell from the fossil record, the family goes back some 60 million years. But I wonder whether the question was in part prompted by the fact that we have all encountered the ibis in ancient writings and carvings of the Egyptians. The word ibis apparently originated in ancient Egypt. The bird's name has stayed basically the same through thousands of years, and in most languages. And as an aside, it's a curious word in English. How many other words in the dictionary do you find starting with the letters I-B? The ancient Egyptians revered the sacred ibis of the Nile for its eating of insect and other pests, and the bird was associated with Thoth, the god of wisdom and magic. The birds were often mummified and buried in the temples with the pharaohs. The sacred ibis is a black and white bird that no longer lives in Egypt. It is still extant further south in Africa, however. In general, ibises are large wading birds with long legs and a distinctive decurved bill. They reside in marshy areas and eat aquatic life and some plants and insects. The only ibis of the 30 or so species in the world that lives in our area is the glossy ibis. The scientific name is Pligades falcinilis, the genus name reflecting the shape of the bill, the original Greek referring to a scythe or a sickle. The species name, from Latin, has the same connotation. The glossy ibis is one of the smaller ibises, about 2 feet long with a 3-foot wingspread, and that long, down-curved bill. It is glossy, with metallic glints to the wings against the brownish feathered head and neck, but that bronze shimmer is only noticed in the right light, and when the bird is close enough. At almost any distance, the glossy ibis usually appears simply black. It used to be that the glossy ibis was seen only along the Gulf Coast. Audubon called the bird rare. But in the mid-20th century, the glossy ibis started moving north. In 1955, for example, a nest was reported in New Jersey. Very unusual. 20 years later, it was reported to be the most numerous colonial water bird nesting in that state. The glossy ibis is now common in coastal Virginia. Another example of a relatively recent immigrant, like the cattle egret or the house finch, those birds managing to find niches in an already crowded environment. You can see the glossy ibis here in the summer, in marshy areas wading about in search of food, and flying in diagonal lines or V formations, with heads and necks extended, feet trailing behind, and that down-curved bill, looking very much like the birds seen by the Egyptians flying over the Nile thousands of years ago.